Welcome to the Enemies Velodrome here in Brisbane for AusCycling's Track National Championships, the first event of night 3, and it's the junior men's sprint semi-finals. And this is Ryan Elliott from Queensland, the fastest qualifier, very quickly around Jaden Stanton-Kerr from New South Wales. It's the best of 3 in the semis, and he'll go one up Kate Bates, and as predicted, the fastest qualifier with a 10.1 200-metre split this morning. Pretty quick for the under-19s, and he goes one up in his best of 3.
Nearly 7/10 of a second differential between these two riders, so certainly Elliott is favoured, and he did a good job there. The Queenslanders, Scott, it's like this movement. Finally, it's arrived. If you build it, they will come. They built the velodrome, and these years later, elite and juniors, we're seeing all this talent come through.
Kevin Costner had nothing to do with it.
He had everything to do with it.
Field of dreams. That's what this velodrome has become, hasn't it? We're looking at the riders in the second semi-final. Second fastest in the qualifying, Max Liebknecht. And he's riding against his fellow South Australian, Dylan Stanton. A little bit closer between these two in the qualifying, 10.2 for Max and a 10.4 for Dylan, but it's still somewhat significant over 200 metres, 0.2 of a second, so Max certainly the quicker of these two.
It is, and to compound that a little bit further, Dylan Stanton actually had to go to 3 rounds in the quarterfinals against Adam Lee, so he won the first one but didn't win the second and had to go to 3. One extra race, albeit only 3 laps. For us endurance riders, Scott, we say, what's an extra 3 laps? But it is significant.
You want it sometimes, just to get the extra warm-up.
But it is significant for the sprinters. So they look very similar, but it is Liebknecht on number 75. He's at the front there, and then Dylan Stanton, number 76, at the back.
Well, Liebknecht, slightly taller of the two riders with the white helmets and the black
socks.
helmet for the Stanton.
The socks, I was like, what's the differentiator? The socks are the big thing that pops for me.
Yeah, matching his helmet as well. So a bit of a stylemeister, perhaps, Max Liebknecht. 3 laps of the track, as it is for the sprint competition these days, 750 metres. And this is the second semi-final, race number 1 in the best of 3. And on pure speed from the time trial this morning, Liebknecht is the one that we think might be able to come away with it, but he knows Dylan Stanton really well. What's Dylan going to be able to do to try and throw it to Max as they're coming around now to get themselves ready for the bell? Both riders very high, and now it's Liebknecht just getting that extra bit of speed. Stanton giving himself a little bit of distance now, maybe perhaps not too much. Now coming down the back straight, up onto the back wheel now. Liebknecht inside, trying to hold off Stanton, and Stanton's really looking strong coming up around the outside here. Stanton might get there. Well, it was close, but he didn't quite get there. Very controlled performance there from Liebknecht.
Well, Stanton is a little bit swifter in his style. It's certainly his acceleration that is his gift. Liebknecht is certainly the kind of rider we expect to ride a little bit longer, Scott, and to be able to hold on. Very controlled from him. We've gotten used to, in the last couple of days, seeing the sprinters look really quite exhausted, to be honest, at the end of their rounds, and their body language really gives away a lot of fatigue. To a degree, the under-19s are still looking reasonably fresh out there, and I think that we can still have some pretty stiff competition, but we may have to look for the gold, silver ride-off and the bronze ride-off to have those really close matchups, because Ryan Elliott, the Queenslander who took that first semi-final, and now Maxwell Liebknecht, they both won in quite comfortable fashion.
Liebknecht, German name, and interesting one too. We actually had the conversation with the venue commentator, Matt Poyner, and he spoke this afternoon to some of the officials from the South Australians just to get the correct pronunciation on Liebknecht. Yep, certainly of German descent, and a big German population in South Australia. Of course, the town of Harndorf. The German bakeries is a fantastic little place to go. If you do go across to South Australia, make sure you get down to Harndorf, just south of Adelaide. Slight pause here as they set themselves up for the junior under-19 women's team sprint. Unfortunately, only the one team will be taking to the start line, New South Wales, with Tyler Putschau, Emily Strumpfen and Kira Will. And this is perhaps the challenge with, for the first time, we now have 3 riders in all of the women's team sprints. It used to be 2, now it's gone to 3, which is parity. It matches with the men's competition, which just makes sense. However, the depth of sprinting within all the states makes it a little bit of a challenge to get the 3 riders that are fast enough to be competitive in the team sprint. So only New South Wales on the line. It will be interesting to see what sort of time that they can produce.
Yeah, we do still have some development happening in the ranks for the junior women sprinters. And, you know, this is when you start to introduce events, Scott, for the women, it's taken a long time. You don't all of a sudden have the depth and the talent to even fill that. It is quite a long-term project. So we're still seeing that trickle down to the under-19s, but it's great to see the New South Wales team out there, and they're looking like they could lay down a strong time here, Scott.
It'll be the fastest time, that's guaranteed. Only one team on the track. 2 seconds, here we go. New South Wales, junior women under-19 team sprint.
Well, Tyler Putzia won a gold medal last year in this event, but on that occasion, she was riding with Georgia Bonoro and Kalinda Robinson, who we've seen progressing incredibly in the elite ranks. So Tyler Putzia, I think she's kind of the next cab off the rank in terms of progressing through. Emily Strumpfen, a solid first lap. She pulls off, and look at this acceleration now from Putzia.
Final lap coming up, and it will be Kira Will that will finish it off for them. So Tyler swings up and out of the way. Kira comes through. Half a lap to go for her now. Time doesn't matter. It's just to see what they're capable of. The only team here in the competition for the under-19 junior women's team sprint, unfortunately, but that will quickly develop over the next couple of years. Gets to the line with a 54.725. It is a winning time. One team on the track, one gold medal. I think they'll still give the gold medal. I'm not sure how that works. There is sometimes restrictions on how many medals are actually handed out depending on how many entries there are.
My understanding was you need 2 entries to make it a championship. So 1 medal gets awarded with 2 entries. 2 medals get awarded with 3 entries. And 3 medals only get awarded if you have 4 or more. That being said, it is a little bit different when you're looking at team events, because you can only have 1 from each state. It's a very different playing field. I'm not sure if that will be counted as a championship event, but either way, I'm glad they had the chance to go out there and race it, because it's certainly not their fault.
It's not our decision, of course, but I hope they do, because it's under-19s. We are about pathways and development and encouragement, and it is the first time that we've had the under-15s and under-17 junior disciplines incorporated in with the elites as well. The under-19s have been here for a while, but at this level of competition, in this category, in this age group, I think we still really need to think about encouraging and inspiring the next generation of riders. So we'll wait and see if there is the presentation for it later on.
Absolutely.
Just ticking the legs over, rolling around on the infield. Next event will be the individual pursuit for the under-19 women. So the first part of tonight's program is packed with the under-19 riders, both sprint and endurance disciplines for the junior under-19 men and women, before we get into some of the more faster, perhaps, of the elite races still to come. Under-19's Omnium for the men, that comes to a conclusion tonight as well. You see the riders on the rollers just keeping themselves up and going, and we saw a challenge the other day when we had a couple of crashes in the mass start races. There was some long delays to get the riders the medical attention they required, and that meant everybody else in the events coming up afterwards had to adjust their warm-ups. Not a big concern. You know, the safety of the riders obviously a much greater concern, but for the riders that are focusing on the events to come, they have to think about what they are going to do. I think we had almost up to an hour break after one of the crashes. So it really does mess with the preparation for the riders in the next events.
It is really tough when the riders have timed their warm-ups to perfection, only to have that all blown out for them. And I'm not sure what this delay is, Scott. I mean, sometimes they are just trying to keep true to the program and the timing. They are starting to bring that start gate out on track now, because we do have the under-19 women's individual pursuit coming up. We're riding for the gold medal, the bronze medal up first, Scott, and then the gold medal.
And talking about pursuits, the individual pursuit for the elite women is coming up later tonight, and that features an absolute standout in Maeve Plouffe, who set the Australian record only a matter of weeks ago in Adelaide at the South Australian Championship. She said her preparation coming into this hasn't been quite as ideal as that, but she did set the fastest time this morning or this afternoon in qualification by close to 10 seconds. Yeah. So she's head and shoulders.
Ride. We'll have to see what she can do this evening in terms of time. When it comes to the under-19 women, Scott, Sophie Ma, we saw her ride tremendously in the points race the other night. She's back on top again, fastest qualifier, and not too far off the Australian record that Alyssa Pilates holds. We're now getting into territory where the first-year seniors are the ones holding all of the junior records, and it's the talent coming through is just phenomenal. So it'll be interesting to see if she can go one better tonight as well. Another thing I really noticed, Scott, is that qualifying in second, third and fourth in the under-19 women, they were South Australians. There's a theme in the women, both elite and in the juniors, that South Australia is just an incredibly strong state.
Well, here we are, ready to go. This is the junior women's individual pursuit. It's the ride for the bronze medal. Meg Marker in the home straight from South Australia, up against another South Australian in the back straight, Sarah Daly. 8 laps of the track, 2,000 metres for the junior under-19 women. Marker versus Daly. Marker the faster of the two in qualifying. It'll be interesting to see just how they back up. They've had a couple of days of really tough racing now.
Well, it was pretty tight in the qualifying, actually. 2:28.1 for Meg Marker, 2:28.38, Scott, for Sarah Daly. So 2/10 in it. It will be a very tight race if they pull the same out again. Now, traditionally, you do go faster in the evening session. However, when the program is so packed like it has been so far this week, it often ends up being, less possible that each time you get on the bike, you actually ride faster.
Comes down to preparation to be able to back up again. Who has trained the most? Who's been able to train the most? It's not just about who wants to. There might have been other factors going into it. And at the moment, it is Meg Marker, slightly faster in qualifying, but a little bit more than that actually ahead at the moment. So about a second, 1.09 seconds in front. So Meg Marker going out really fast, and she'll have 4 laps to go coming around to the halfway point when she gets back to the start-finish line.
Well, an on-track side for Meg Marker tonight is Ashley Ankudinoff, so when she comes through the next lap, we'll be able to see her. We're currently looking at the back straight there with Sarah Daly. But Meg Marker has Ash Ankudinoff on her side. Ash has been a world champion in this event in the elite. It was back in 2012 that she got her first medal in this event at the World Championships. She's in very good hands.
And it does look like Sarah's starting to come back. Well, it looks like it is. 0.8 of a second now. So Marker did go out strong. And Daly is now starting to bring things back. She'll come around and we'll get 2 laps to go. If she keeps going at this progression, this is going to be just as close as it was in the qualifying. 2 laps to go now, and she really is coming down to 0.3 of a second now. So it will be a bronze medal to South Australia, but we're still uncertain as to which of these riders will get it.
Well, gone are the days where the coaches are literally running half the length of the track trying to encourage their riders. Scott, that's what I grew up with Gary Sutton, but the coaches have got to give them something.
0.03 of a second with 1 lap to go. Sarah Daly has really brought this one home. She's judged her effort perfectly. Meg Marker trying to hold on. She led all the way until this final lap, but now Sarah Daly, she'll come to the back straight finish line, and is she going to get there? Oh, she does. Oh, it's equal time.
Oh my God, it is dead heat.
They've given it, at the moment, they've given it to Meg Marker, but they have on the scoreboard exactly the same time. They may have gone down to the thousandths of a second to split them.
Wow, what a race, my goodness. I mean, Meg Marker started so strong. She really went out and had a very significant lead. But Sarah Daly, well, she rallied, didn't she? That was a sensational
A great race.
We've had a lot of results this week that people have been like, wow, we haven't actually seen that before. I've never seen a dead heat in an individual pursuit. They may still separate them by 1,000 or something. But to even have to separate them, it's quite remarkable.
Well,
you can see
on the scoring here 228.928, but when they do the difference, it's only 0.00. So the thousandths isn't included when they do that, but they may have that in the timing chip itself. So they've been able to get the separation, and it's a bronze medal that will go to Meg Marker. So great riding by both of them. And you've got to give some encouragement to Sarah Daly. That was a fantastic comeback, even though she didn't quite snatch the bronze.
It was slightly slower than this morning, so is it the track or is it the legs, Scott? I guess we might see.
I think it's the legs. I think it's the legs. A little bit more humid, though. It's a bit cooler up here tonight, but it's been raining a lot in Brisbane since yesterday, really. On to the gold medal race now, and it is the favourite, Sophie Ma from Victoria, in the home straight, and she's up against Summer Nordmeyer from South Australia, the third of the South Australians in the races for the medals. Ma versus Nordmeyer, Victoria versus South Australia. Slight wobble from Ma, just coming out of the start gate. 2,000 metres, 8 laps. You don't get a lot of time to settle in with the distance.
Oh, boy, these riders are riding really big gears for juniors, and the big giveaway is when they're out of the start gate, and it is quite a laboured first half lap. Sophie Ma, you're right, she wobbled out of the gate, but I think she's riding quite a big gear. Now, she did a 2:22.996 this morning. Nordmeyer 2:27.120. We have a clear favourite. If she can get her in sight, Scott, that could really end up in a very fast time for her.
Well, the gap now out to 1 second only after the first 2 laps. So that's going to form after the qualifying. Certainly the quicker rider, Sophie Ma, the Victorian, but Nordmeyer is holding on. So while the gap has gone out to 1 second, fast start from Ma, but Nordmeyer is not getting blown away here. She's trying to hold on. It's now 1.2 seconds, so she's still putting up a good ride.
A very big difference in their cadence at this point. Ma is picking up a lot of speed. Nordmeyer is holding pace relatively well, Scott, but the difference is that Ma is getting faster every lap. At this point, she's really powering her way around this track. The gap is out to now 2 seconds. By the looks of it, it's only going to keep increasing because Sophie Ma looks so comfortable. Nordmeyer looks comfortable too, but she doesn't look super fast.
Ma is really tucked into a very good aerodynamic position, keeping a good cadence as well. Big gear on the bike, but still being able to pedal it fast. She'll come around to get 2 laps to go. She's on her way to a gold medal. That's clear now with the gap really starting to open up. It's been a good ride by Summer Nordmeyer, but not to the level and the standard of Sophie Ma. 2 laps to go for her. She is on her way to gold.
The gold is one thing. I don't think she's riding as fast a time as she was doing so this morning, Scott. I did expect her to be a bit closer to Nordmeyer by the end, but you're right, she's carrying a bit of fatigue. She gets the bell, 250 metres left to go.
And she can see Summer Nordmeyer out in front of her as she goes into the back straight. There's the South Australian. She'll come around to get half a lap to go. That's already happened for Sophie Ma. She comes through the final bend now. It's a gold medal going to Victoria. 3 South Australians in the final 4, but Victoria come away with the gold. So Sophie Ma with a 2:23.894 and a 2:28.4 for Summer Nordmeyer when she got to the finish line. So silver to South Australia to match the bronze they just got from Meg Marker, but it's gold to Victoria for Sophie Ma.
Marginally slower time, 2:23.894 this evening to the 2:22.996 this morning. But we're mid-program, we're mid-championships. They've already had some big efforts. None of them have fresh legs by this point. The other factor, Scott, is remembering that Oceanias are coming up after this. That's a big event and a big goal for a lot of these riders as well. So some have come in a little bit underdone, hoping to race into form. Usually when you come in a bit underdone, you do tend to struggle a little bit to back it up and to recover, but once they have 1 or 2 days off, they will take that next step up in form. So we can compare the times for Sophie Ma in the individual pursuit in the Oceanias next week, and I think we might see a little bit of improvement there. Not that she needs to improve, I might add. That was a quick time. It was won last year by Pilates in 2:25.95, which is the Oz record. So it is still a very internationally competitive time.
Sean Eady now pushing his young steed, Jaden Stanton-Kerr, up onto the start line for New South Wales. And Queenslander Ryan Elliott will be coming up. The fastest qualifier, Ryan Elliott, and he has gone one up in this best of three. So if he wins this one, it's freshen up as quickly as possible to get ready for the gold medal race. Jaden Stanton-Kerr will be doing everything he can to try and stop that from happening, but there is a really big speed difference between these two from the 200 earlier today, 0.7 of a second. That is a long way, so it's going to be a tactically brilliant ride for Jaden if he can stop Ryan from getting this win.
Well, you can definitely tell by the body language from Ryan Elliott that he looks confident, he's happy on his home track. The big advantage of a home track isn't necessarily in the crowd. I mean, that's a great thing too, but it's not a crowd like you'd see at the Olympics or Commonwealth Games, or a roaring crowd like that, you know.
Well,
but
Tokyo Olympics maybe. There's no one there.
Yeah, perhaps. You've got a point. But generally it's because they know the shape of the track so well. They know the exact points to accelerate and to make their move. And so that is definitely an advantage for Ryan Elliott. And he's looking comfortable and he's looking confident.
Well, a Queensland sprinter coming through the under-19s takes me back to my Queensland days. I was inspired watching Kenrick Tucker as the best sprinter in Australia back in that period. 1982 Commonwealth Games champion. That track that he won on here in Brisbane, which is right next door here to the Anamiers Velodrome, built for those Commonwealth Games. This track, it was built for the Commonwealth Games in 2018. So there are some similarities there. Into the final lap now, Ryan Elliott from Queensland, trying to control this one from the front. He has to get the job done, and it looks like it's going to be doing that for sure. Elliott comes through. He can throttle back now, save a little bit of energy for the race for gold, because it's 2 straight wins to Ryan Elliott, and he progresses into the gold medal race. Pretty comfortable, controlled, smooth on the bike as well, isn't he?
But what will happen in years to come? Now let's just take a look at this, because I think that we're seeing a little bit of an experience here from Ryan Elliott. I know he dominated, bear with me. As they go down the back, and Elliott is in full control here, but Jaden Stanton-Kerr starts to come on his hip, and Ryan Elliott panics for a quarter of a second. Not too noticeable, but he does accelerate away again. He didn't need to do that. He would have still won by at least half a wheel, if not more. With experience will come that little bit more confidence to know, to be able to sense the speed that somebody is coming at, as well as differentiate that between your own speed. So incredibly good and strong ride from Ryan Elliott. But I think just how good will he be when he does learn that tiny little bit more control.
Very smooth peddler. Sits well on the bike, Ryan Elliott. Looking forward to watching him race for gold, and it's going to be between one of these two riders. Maxwell Liebknecht is one up against Dylan Stanton, and that's Stanton with the black helmet, Liebknecht with the white helmet in second position.
Liebknecht taking an easy victory. Stanton, he's had a bit of a tough run through today. He did go to 3 against Adam Lee in that quarter-final. 0.2 of a second, almost right on the mark in their difference for qualifying. Liebknecht goes longer. Dylan Stanton, more acceleration, but they're jockeying here for the position, Scott.
Dylan really trying to slow things down and force Liebknecht to the front position, but Max having none of it, and Dylan remains in the lead.
It's when your weapon is that acceleration and that jump, it is quite hard to use that with a rider like Liebknecht just sitting behind you, watching the whole time, being able to be in control. This is not going to plan for Stanton tactically, but it is definitely not over. Liebknecht gaining speed.
Into the bell now, 1 lap to go. Liebknecht is one up. If he wins this, he'll be racing against Ryan Elliott for the gold medal in the under-19 men's sprint. And here he comes, up onto the back wheel of Stanton, and very easily up around the outside. So a comfortable win to Maxwell Liebknecht. He'll be racing against Ryan Elliott for gold, and for Dylan Stanton, he'll be duking it out with Jaden Stanton-Kerr for the bronze medal. That's coming up later on in the program.
Well, that's lucky. That's not confusing at all, Scott, to have Dylan Stanton against Jaden Stanton-Kerr. Different skin suits, it'll make it easy. Maxwell Liebknecht, when he goes, look at this acceleration in the seat. It's so controlled, it's very efficient. That's where he switches off around the pursuit line, doesn't have to try anymore, wins very easily. It won't be an easy final for that gold medal. I think Ryan Elliott will be an absolutely formidable competitor.
And this is Jack Dola from Western Australia. He's just getting himself all warmed up for the next event on the program, which is the junior men's Omnium elimination. So they'll have their final 2 disciplines in the Omnium competition tonight, the elimination and then the points race. I
think I described the Omnium last night as something along the words of horrible. The points race in an elimination, it's been quite offensive. But the under-19 men have still got a few events left to go.
And they have. While they're getting themselves prepared for the next event, let's have a look at some of our major sponsors.
The 2022 Brisbane Cycling Festival, presented by King Street, kicks off March 24 to April 14. Experience Australia's only fully closed road inner city bike ride, the Australian Unity Tour de Brisbane. Supported by free family entertainment at the Brisbane Showgrounds, including the Active Lifestyle Expo. Across the festival, enjoy world-class racing at AusCycling's Track Nationals and the Oceania Championships. The festival with something for every age and ability. Experience Brisbane on a bike. BrisbaneCyclingFestival.com.
We are not here on this planet to close our eyes to the world.
We are here to go out and experience its many wonders.
Because through our experiences,
we become bigger than ourselves.
Travel has the power to shape our world.
And make us whole again.
With 30 hotel brands and endless experiences, where can we take you?
Brisbane is rolling out the red carpet for cyclists and their families with the Australian Unity Tour de Brisbane on Sunday, April 10 as part of the Brisbane Cycling Festival. Join me, Osher Ginsberg, and ride exclusive closed roads on the Story Bridge, Mount Cootha and more. Plus, a free community ride and fun run. We're on a mission to raise vital funds for the common good, powering life-changing medical research at the Prince Charles Hospital. Register now at tourdebrisbane.org.
When you don't need to worry, there'll be days like this. When no one's in a hurry, there will be days like this. When all the parts of the puzzle start to look like they fit. My mama told me there'll be days like this. My mama told me there'll be days like this.
Welcome back to the Animeers Velodrome here in rainy Brisbane, unfortunately. They've had so much rain over the last couple of weeks, and with how much there was today, actually, I did hear that around Dalby town that there might be some more flooding happening, which is really unfortunate considering the hammering that they've had in southeast Queensland and northern New South Wales over the last couple of weeks or month or so. And you can see the presentation dais is prepared and ready for our first presentation for the evening. This is the third night of competition here at the AusCycling Track National Championships, and it will be for the junior under-19 women's team sprint. We were talking about this earlier, that there was only the one team, so I was still hopeful that they would present the gold medal to New South Wales. And it certainly keeps them inspired and encouraged, and why not? They had the depth to have 3 sprinters on the line in the under-19s, so give them the thanks for that. And hopefully that also encourages the other states to try and look for some more sprinters for the next couple of seasons. And then after that we will have the elimination element of the junior under-19 men's Omnium. And at the moment, it's Taryn Cook from Victoria that leads the way on 76 points ahead of Whittaker from Queensland. Another Queenslander as well, Blannon, just behind him. So 2 Queenslanders breathing down Taryn Cook's neck in the Omnium so far. And that'll come to a conclusion tonight with the points race towards the latter part of the evening. The elite women, they'll have their individual pursuit coming up as well. We've already mentioned Maeve Plouffe. She is the standout in that competition, has the national record, and is hoping to perhaps go a little bit better from that tonight. Here's Team New South Wales, the winners of the Junior 19 Women Team Sprint, and Tyler Putzia, Emily Strumpfen and Kira Will being presented their medals and jerseys as national champions by the Chief Commissaire Tony Tor. With the introduction of a third rider in the team sprints now for the women and the under-19s, it is a bit of a scramble, not just with the states for the national championships, but I know from all around the countries around the world as well, just trying to get themselves ready for the world championships and increasing the depth within their sprint groups to include that third rider. And you almost have to go even further to make sure you've got at least a fourth in case there's an injury or illness. Whereas in the past, one or two sprinters is all they've really gone for. Now they've got to pretty much double that and have at least four in their ranks. So it has been a real challenge and a real opportunity for any of the countries, and in this case, the state like New South Wales, that is able to muster up the extra riders to make sure that they are going to be competitive. So New South Wales win the Junior Under-19 Women's Team Sprint. Putzia, Strumpfen and Kira Will. Slightly smaller crowd in here tonight. It's a Monday night, of course, here in Brisbane, and well, Monday everywhere around Australia. But the under-17s and under-15s competition wrapped up earlier today as well. So we don't have all of the families that typically come to the championships following them as well, as they all head back to their states. So well done to New South Wales for having the depth of talent to put on a team. And well done to Tyler, Emily and Kira coming away with the gold medal. Look out to see how they go next year and they progress up into the next category. The Under-19 Women's Individual Pursuit presentation is next. And of course, that was taken out by Sophie Ma. Fantastic pursuiting by the Victorian.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join us. The Junior Women 19 Individual Pursuit presentation. Once again, Tony Tor, Chief Commissaire, to present. In third place,
here's the young ladies. Bronze medalist. It was a all-South Australian battle for bronze and incredibly close. Virtually tied as they hit the line. Meg Marker come away with the bronze medal, getting over the top of Sarah Daly. Great comeback from Sarah, though, so well done to her. But it was Meg that picked up the bronze for South Australia. Summer Nordmeyer picking up the silver as well. The second fastest qualifier. And it was a comfortable victory for Victoria. Sophie Ma really was going fast out there. Great time from her as well. So faster than the championship from last year, and really showing that she is progressing incredibly well. Sophie Ma wins the Under-19 Women's Individual Pursuit Championship of Australia. Once again, Tony Tor, the Chief Commissaire, stepping back down from the officials area to do the presentations. It's always an honour to be the person presenting the medals to the next generation. Sophie Ma in the middle, flanked by two South Australians, Summer Nordmeyer and Meg Marker. And you can see the riders in the background. That's the Under-19 men just rolling around, keeping themselves ready for the elimination. The Omnium third discipline coming onto the track in just a moment. You can see the young ladies going back to their designated pit areas. Still another day of racing to come, so they'll all be coming back out onto the track for some more events. they'll all be doing the points race later on tonight as well. And let's hear from our newest Australian champion, Sophie Maher, in the under-19 women's individual pursuit. She's with Kate Bates.
Sophie Maher, another event, another gold medal. It seems it's a habit you're collecting this week.
Yeah, thanks. It's great to be. Oh, God. It's great for all three events that I've done to win gold, so it's really exciting.
And the times out on track were pretty good. You were only a couple of seconds off the national record of Alyssa Pilates. Is that in your mind? You've got a couple of big events coming up. Is that a goal for you?
Yeah, it was definitely in my mind. Getting 20, close to the record, would have been a PB, which would have been great. But the track was quite slow today with the weather. But that's a goal for next time.
Yeah, it's always a bit of a bummer when it rains on pursuit day, isn't it, with all the preparation. What have you done between all of these races in order to recover so well and still put down such a quick time after a really heavy racing load?
Yeah, I've been drinking a lot of water and just making sure I'm on top of all my fuel, because obviously it's quite jam-packed and you're sweating a lot, so just got to keep hydrated and fueling.
I was worried when you started saying I've been drinking a lot. I was like, I hope water's coming next. Well, Sophie, congratulations on a huge success so far, and good luck for the rest.
Thank you very much.
She was fast, very strong, and she has the under-19 women's points race still to come tonight as well. And the young lads are all lined up now as well. This is the junior under-19 Omnium, and it's the third discipline, the elimination, with the points race still to come. Taryn Cook from Victoria, he leads the way, and that's him on the top of the track there, number 101 on 76 points. And then it's Jarlath Whitaker from Queensland down the bottom of the track, second place. He's on 68, so 8 points behind the lead. Noah Blannon is number 47 there from Queensland, sitting in third place on 66 points. And then down the bottom is Logan Taplin, Victorian, on 64. He sits in fourth place. And then young Nate Haddon is up here as well, just poking into view. Young Bendigo boy, Nate, his younger brother, is racing up here as well, or finished this morning's competition in the junior category. So Nate is sitting in fifth place on 62 points. So still a lot to happen here. And Cameron Rogers in the yellow colours, we saw him in the points race in yesterday's program. Both he and Tyler Tompkinson, who was the winner of the points race, they sit in 6th and 7th place at the moment on 58 and 56 points. So the two stars of the points race with a little bit of work to do, both Rogers and Tompkinson, as Taryn Cook leads the way. He's dominated in the first two events. We had the scratch race, then the tempo race. Now we're into the elimination. The event, if you've been around cycling for a while, you know what this is all about. If you haven't, well, it's the unique event where you focus on the back of the peloton. Every 2 laps, the last rider across the line is eliminated, and down until there's only 2 left, and they'll fight it out for the win. And it's the Victorian that's going to be the first one out, Angus Gill. So Gilly, another Bendigonian from Victoria, he's the first rider to go out, caught down underneath. So it's unfortunate for Angus. It really does come thick and fast onto the next elimination lap now. Focus towards the back of the group. This is South Australian in a bit of trouble. And it might not be the rider on the very back. If he can get his way up around the outside, it can be the riders on the inside that are boxed in that are in danger of being eliminated. But this time it indeed was the last rider on the top end, number 73. That's Michael Bryant from South Australia. It's a long way up around the outside, especially they've gone out very fast indeed, actually. Strung out, pace is hot. Big favourites are right up the front. And one of the riders from New South Wales now getting himself up around the outside. Down on the inside in the green colours, the Tasmanian. He could be in a bit of danger if the Queenslander can get his way up over the top. And I think he did, so it is the Tasmanian. Hayden van der Ploeg it was. Yep, down the bottom, Hayden van der Ploeg. It's a frustrating position to be in because you're typically just following the wheels in front. You just can't go anywhere. Plenty of energy in the legs, but you just cannot produce it and get through to keep yourself in the bike race. So van der Ploeg is out for Tasmania. Victorian on the inside, also in the same similar position. And he will go out. That's number 102, Kai Felstead. It's all about positioning, and for Felstead and also Van der Ploeg just didn't position themselves very well indeed. In danger now is Connor Doyle from South Australia, the last rider. Also put himself underneath the wheel of the New South Wales rider. This is not looking good for Connor Doyle as he tries to come through underneath. There might be enough room for him to keep himself in the race. There is indeed. It's going to be the light blue colours of Curtis Traculia that is eliminated.
Well, he hasn't had what I'd call the best of days in the Omnium so far, but he was certainly very impressive in the points race the other night. So with one points race still to go after this and a lot of points to be accrued there, he might just be hanging in a little bit, but he just blew that out the window when he got eliminated. It is one of the tougher events, isn't it, this one, Scott? It almost looks so innocent. It is not.
Down the back there, and really close to being eliminated. 74, Connor Doyle. Connor Doyle from South Australia. And the Victorian, Logan Taplin, he thought he was eliminated, backed off, and you could hear the event announcer, Matthew Poyner, just screaming out that it's number 74. So Taplin had to accelerate to get back into the race. He won't be eliminated this time, so he keeps himself in. So good for Taplin. Looks like it's Western Australia, though. 125, Jack Dola.
Well, I tell you what, I passed Cam Rogers when I was down in the middle chatting to Sophie Marr, Scott, and he looked like he was going for a coffee ride. He looked just so chilled. He had a big smile on his face. I think he's just warming up. He's sitting back in 6th at the moment, but with the points race left to go, he's now sitting at second wheel and looking after himself. But it's the back of the bunch that the riders need to worry about, not the front. This is interesting.
A couple of Queenslanders in a bit of trouble here, I think. But it is New South Wales, number 22. 47. Noah Blannon. So he may have impeded going underneath because he wasn't the last rider across the line. That's the other way of being eliminated, is if you go down onto the blue band and try and improve your position off the track proper itself. Blannon was sitting in 3rd place overall on 66 points. That's a huge blow to the Queenslander.
It is, and that was just an error from him. He just hesitated, lost the wheel, and when he came back under, did not do so in the right way. The New South Wales riders need to start moving up if they don't want to be eliminated, but that will not happen in this case. Andre Dubier, number 22, will be called out. He knew it as soon as he crossed the line. There's two very obvious ways to ride an elimination, Scott, isn't there? From the back or from the front. Some people like to sit at the back and just tap around each time. Others like to just sit at the front and know that they're out of danger.
Well, the overall leader, Taryn Cook from Victoria, he leads the way. Cam Rogers in the yellow colours has been very prominent in the first 2 or 3. Hasn't gone any further back than that. And the Queenslanders trying to manipulate a few things here. You've got a Victorian right down on the inside that might be in danger. Oh, that was really tight, actually.
Well,
you can see them looking up to the scoreboard to see who it was.
I think that was Ephraim Martinson, wasn't it? Queenslander. Taplin.
Taplin from Victoria was eliminated.
He was sitting in 4th, Scott, so that's another fairly big one to go, setting Taryn Cook up to open his lead out even more.
So 3rd and 4th in the overall standings now eliminated. And we can see Tompkinson, the points race winner from last night, coming up around the outside. He and Rogers, as I said, sitting in 6th and 7th place overall. And this time, number 50 is Martinson. Ephraim Martinson from Queensland.
Well, he was very lucky to not be eliminated on the last sprint. But his fellow Queenslanders, Tompkinson, who was sensational last night, and Jarlath Whitaker, number 52, he's sitting in 2nd at the moment. This is a pretty elite group of 6 now.
Well, the overall leader, Taryn Cook, in a bit of danger here because that's him in the blue colours on the inside, and he's put himself straight into the pocket. This could be a real issue for the overall leader, Taryn Cook. We've seen 3rd and 4th go, and I tell you what, he is lucky because it's 52, 2nd place getter, Whitaker, that has gone. 2nd, 3rd and 4th in the overall standings have gone out. And Taryn Cook dodged a bullet there because I thought he was in the most precarious position right down on the inside.
Well, Tyler Tompkinson leading out now. So good in the previous events that we've seen here. Cam Rogers sitting nice and comfortably in second. But they are going to have to sprint hard every single lap. There is no safe place anymore.
Smart riding from the two Victorians, Nate Haddon and Taryn Cook, because as the New South Welshman went to go, which is Anderson, he's the next rider to go, Nate Haddon quickly said to Taryn Cook, we better go. He didn't go straight over the top. They accelerated together to block the move from the New South Welshman, and that saw him get eliminated. So good riding from both Nate and Taryn.
Nate Haddon is 104, Taryn Cook 101. Cook is currently the leader out there. We've got Tompkinson and Cam Rogers. He doesn't want to get caught out.
Rogers back into fourth position, straight around the outside, but didn't keep going. He's trying to box Nate Haddon in. Haddon, the young Bendigonian, trying to come up over the top, and it's close between he and Taryn Cook.
Ooh,
They're saying Cook, the overall leader, Taryn Cook, has been the next one to go. Really close between he and Haddon, and almost taking each other out by mistake as Cook swung up to get out of the way. Down to 3 now. First and second, gold and silver medalists from the points race last night. Tompkinson and Rogers, and the young rider from Bendigo, Nate Haddon. Tompkinson gets it going a little bit, look over the shoulder, and it does look that Nate's in a bit of trouble now. He's put in so many big efforts, Haddon. It'll be third place for him in the elimination. Good ride. And it comes down to the guys that were perhaps the favourites coming into this competition, but they found themselves in 6th and 7th coming into the elimination. Now they're going to fight for the win here.
They are. These are definitely their strong events. The elimination and coming up to finish the night and finish the Omnium is the points race. I can't wait. That is going to be such a cracker because they are on the back foot. A lap to go and they're still just playing, Scott.
Right up on the fence here. It's going to be a very short sprint from these two. Tompkinson, the points race gold medalist, up against Cam Rogers, the silver medalist. They're both tied from last night's competition. Rogers perhaps has the most left in his legs, straight over the top. Incredibly short sprint, and I think that's only because Tompkinson was so tired after so much racing, and Cam Rogers, a little bit of extra endurance in those legs perhaps, comes through to get the win. But they still have a bit of work to do to get themselves into the medals, because that won't take them to the outright lead just yet.
No, but I feel as though they're really coming into their own with that result there. And look, based on the body language from Cam Rogers, you don't see somebody smiling and with a spring in their step if they're not feeling fairly fresh. So this is when there were still 2 Victorians left. Bit of a mistake from Taryn Cook there. To get eliminated. I don't think he realised he was that vulnerable. And a very late sprint for these pair. They know that they need to conserve as much energy as possible for the upcoming points race. But Cam Rogers, he looks strong. He's really getting into his rhythm here. Both would be carrying some fatigue from the points race last night. And I think probably some of the Omnium rounds this morning, Scott, would have felt a little bit nasty on their legs, but it looks like they're really riding into it now.
Well, Tyler Tompkinson winning the points race, but Cam Rogers just indicating there how strong he is coming into the final points race discipline of the 4-discipline Omnium event. So some signs perhaps that Cam Rogers might be trying to do something very special in this points race to get himself up into the medals, but Taryn Cook getting enough points there to hold on to the overall lead coming into the final discipline of the Omnium. Still haven't got confirmations of the updated points for the under-19 lads, but I know that Taryn Cook will still be holding on to the overall lead.
So we have the sprint coming back out on track. Now we are riding for the bronze and then for the gold.
Jaden Stanton-Kerr from New South Wales, and he's up against Dylan Stanton from South Australia. Stanton-Kerr versus Stanton. You just say Jaden and Dylan. But even they're similar, isn't it? Jaden and Dylan.
It is. Thankfully, they're in different skin suits. Otherwise, it would be very confusing. The New South Wales rider is Jaden Stanton-Kerr. Dylan Stanton is the South Australian. Dylan Stanton has quite a good acceleration on him. He'd prefer to ride from the back. A bit of a chat going on here with Kimberly Conti. She's the director of the Women's Santos Tour Down Under when that is run. And it looks like they're deferring to something here. They'll be rolling a lap while they sort something out amongst the officials. Kimberly Conti doesn't look too impressed, to be honest. It looks like she's getting a little bit frustrated with proceedings, as would the riders be, Scott. It's not nice. It's one thing to be delayed on the inside of the track. It's a really different thing to be delayed once you're already out on track, because that's when you really start getting the adrenaline rush and you're getting ready to race. So for these young lads, they're going to have to keep their cool. And remembering that this event is made possible by Brisbane, Australia. It's live in